What's going on, Cancer? I salute the divinity in you, and welcome to the Chariot Friends. Justin here, and how you feeling? We're in a new lunar cycle now, where we're almost about to be. We're in the moon's in Aquarius. The moon is feeling focused. This is a pretty dope lunation. I got some cool stuff I think to talk about with this one. But before we jump into that, if you're new here, again, my name is Justin, and know that when you're coming across this video, you're in sync with the moon, and she loves that. But this is also a place for you if you happen to have Cancer in your placements. Sun, moon, rising, maybe Saturn, wherever. This one's for you. Don't panic. I know someone who has Saturn in Cancer. It's fine. Alanis Morissette, she is Saturn in Cancer, so that's something to think about. And I do tarot card spreads based off this lovely luminary, the good old moon. And I talk about what sign. You know what? I saw her the other day, or not the other day when I'm recording this, like earlier today. And yeah, she was just out there greeting me. So if you have a moment, I was just talking about this with Jamie on her channel, and just like making sure to get outside. You know, it's more than just like watching the astrology on the screen or things like that. Like, go keep eyes on the moon. Go see what she's doing. She's always up to some sort of shenanigans, and they're always fun to watch. So get out there and see the moon. But I'll talk about what sign she's in, what phase she's in, when she's going void of course, which is here soon in March. All those lunar shenanigans. And just so y'all aware, this is a general reading, not a one-to-one. So take what fits into your story, discard the rest, and everything will be dope, Cancer. Now, let's jump into it, because this is gonna be nice. We got some new decks for, but I mean, like, I rotated the decks. Like, I've used these decks before. It's been a minute though. I'm using some of these. You'll see here in a moment. But I'm going to be shuffling for your cards while I talk about these energies. But depending on when you're watching this, happy Mercury Day. Mercury is associated with Wednesdays, and one thing that's really great for Mercury, thanks Spirit, is I find Mercury days are really great for communications. I actually set up when I was doing, Jamie and I did a live here recently on her channel, The Lips of Wisdom. And I think it's The Lips of Wisdom. Yes, I think it was The Lips of Wisdom. And it was on a Mercury day, so that was a perfect day for just, and we ended up chit chatting for quite a bit. So that's like a really great day for communication, for just bantering, just get into the discussion, just because let's debate. You know, I think those are great ways. But Mercury days could be great for learning new things, or even during like Mercury hours if you have any sort of like studying that you need to get done. You need to get through a lot of information. Mercury days, hours could be really great for that. And even too, like Mercury will be entering Aquarius soon, so I think that'd be a nice energy to work into as well. But you know, another thing that I like to do on these days are to think about, and this is just like a practice that I do, but think about my relationship with Mercury. How do I do during Mercury transits, when Mercury's going retrograde versus direct? And you know, what is the relationship with my Mercury placement? I've actually just kind of really gotten, I like where my Mercury placement's at. I'd say it's sitting strong in the first house, doing well. It's gotten me far. So you know, it's kind of nice when you just take a minute and think about those placements. But those are just some little extra things to do. But enough of mercurial stuff. Let's get into the lunar shenanigans. Because on the 28th of January, at about 11:32 a.m., and that's going to be Pacific time, the moon is going to enter into Aquarius. And I got a chart for here that's going to be talking about that I'll show you the new moon stuff in here and all that in a moment, because that's going to happen on the following day. But when we talk about just the moon in Aquarius, Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn, and Saturn gives things form. And I like this part of Saturn when we talk about Aquarius, because this is the fixed the fixed air sign. So we're getting into that realm of thought. Aquarius is masculine in nature, so there's this active that comes with them. And that fixed has the ability to really sustain things, to persist, and to hold on to what was initiated in the cardinal sign. And so Aquarius really gets attributed to like the visionary, the one that can see the future, that holds the game plan, that keeps that vision form. And I find that Aquarius is one where if they really can focus, like I find Aquarius energy does very well with vision boards. I actually knew an Aquarius who he had vision boards all over the place, but I think that's helps them for holding that vision. And I find that doing sort of visual work, maybe especially even like just working with tarot, that can be one where holding a card or maybe around the moon in Aquarius, and it's just like, okay, this is the energy that's coming up, but like, what does this energy mean for me over these next couple of days? Maybe pull a card each day for each moon in Aquarius. But I think just having that, seeing where things are going, getting in the future, and setting the game plan for that is really something I think that Aquarius can do very well at its higher expression. Now, I want to talk about the new moon here because this is a very interesting one. And let me get my handy dandy drawer here. Because the new moon is when the sun, and we'll throw Mercury in there. It's a little bit of a wide conjunction, but you got the sun and the moon here at 9 degrees and 51 minutes, and the new moon's going to happen on the 29th, and that's going to happen at 4:36 a.m. and again, that's Pacific time. And so we have the moon here in Aquarius, and the nice thing that I like about this straight off the bat is that this new moon is not going to be forming any kind of harsh aspects sure, it's in one of Saturn's signs, but it's not forming any aspects with Saturn or with Mars. So the malefics are out of the way. The only person they're going to talk with is Big Papa. We got Jupiter here, who's retrograde, sure, not in his strongest position in Gemini, but there still is the opportunity for expansion to maybe see where you've been a little scattered and pull in the reins and really kind of focus on the growth at hand. But and I really like the Sabian symbol for this, which I'll get into next here. But one thing I kind of was feeling with this new moon, because both the sun and the moon would have had a conversation with Mercury. Let me kind of clean this up again. But yeah, they would have just had a conversation with Mercury. So I'd say go to look at where you have Aquarius in your chart. And this is just more of like an intuitive sort of feeling, but this would give me like, something has happened here that's already maybe been on your mind, that may surround the themes of this house. This may be not something like fresh that we're dealing with. And now that it's getting ready to, like I was saying, form that trine with Jupiter, which gets things moving. It's Jupiterian in nature, the trine, the most positive aspect. It provides growth, provides motion, and can bring about good fortune. And so I think with that happening and like having none of those Saturn or Mars in the way of this could be a really great time for holding the vision and really seeing something through during the month. Like maybe you're wanting to fix something. Let's say we're working with this chart as a Sag rising. Maybe there's something coming up with the siblings, for example. Maybe you want to fix your relationship there. Maybe there's something you want to fix with your commute. Maybe you're going with your car. And then look at that. That would tie in that Mars in the 8th house. So you and maybe your partner of this, you got a Jupiter here in the 7th house. Maybe you and your partner would have to talk about how we're going to share resources there. Maybe someone's going to go for a promotion. Maybe we're going to take out some kind of loan here. Whatever that might be looking like. And then look, we got Venus just having passed Saturn here, so now there's harmony in the workspace, but we're being responsible about it. So see, this could be a lovely little story that's kind of telling. And that would be a very generalized vision for if you have Sag rising by whole sign, but that could be a story that could potentially manifest. And sometimes this stuff is pretty, can be pretty mundane. It doesn't have to be anything like always life changing. I mean, getting a car is pretty big move, but overall, with this new moon, I liked here too that Venus was coming up on the North Node, and this is going to be her first of 3 times that she's going to talk with Saturn and with the Node a few times when she goes retrograde I think she goes retrograde in March. Yeah, at the beginning of March. Yeah, the 1st of March. And so, but she's going to be passing over this point, and this is just like paying attention to what you've been attracting. I think I'm going to go ahead and switch over. But just paying attention to what you've been attracting, really feeling when we're feeling on our path and when something's feeling off our path. Things are coming to fruition quicker, and I think that the sooner that you can learn to get that, like, not learn, but maybe learn something, learn different ways of staying in that state, that focus state, that discipline state, that higher self state, because that's what the sun and the moon, that dance, is about. This new moon is the seeding process. This is where the ideas are coming up. It's like, okay, we're not even taking actions yet. It's just like, okay, this is this theme of my chart. This is what's activating right now. What's coming up for me when I think about relationships, when I think about sharing resources with other people, when I think about my spirituality, when I think about my career, my hopes and dreams, when I think about my fears, when I think about what is my body, just like going through, again, whatever house this is, and just let that sun energy bring up the inspirations, bring up the downloads. And then the moon over this month cycle shows you how to approach that in a way that isn't like, oh my gosh, there's a rush, but the moon helps you pace it out so that I can, okay, at the first quarter, like I've been getting things prepared. I've had about a week to get prepared for this thing. Now I can take this action. Then we're seeing the results of that action. We get to the full moon. We're seeing this is the culmination of this thing. This either went great or this didn't go so great. This was either a lesson or it was an experience. And so then we go to the last quarter. We learn from that thing. We make any adjustments. Then we do it all over again. So, but I think in this one in Aquarius, I think this is a really great one, especially if this is working with you. If you have any points around, what was that, 9 degrees, I think 51 minutes, check that if you have any, especially in Aquarius, this is working with you pretty personally. Or if you have any sort of like fixed placements, Leo, Sagittarius, definitely Scorpio and Taurus for sure. Did I say Sagittarius? Not Sagittarius, but Sagittarius, Sagittarius, Aries, you could feel this too. Opportunities coming up with the Sag and Aries. So even Gemini and Libra. So, those would be just some of the signs to just kind of look out for if you have any planets or placements around that. So definitely keep an eye on that. But let's talk about the Sabian symbol, then we'll get into the tarot here. Because this one, I really like this one. This is phase 310 of Aquarius. And it talks about a man who had for a time become the embodiment of a popular ideal is made to realize that as a person, he's not that ideal. And that was something very sobering about that. I really like that. And then the keynote for this is the need to deal with human beings as persons rather than as screens upon which one projects one's dream and ideal. And so, one thing I really like about the Sabian symbols is just like it really gets you kind of philosophizing as far as like what are these seeding processes or these planets when they come at these degrees? What is the nitty-gritty behind that? And I do think about this. This one does get me thinking about how we can project our expectations, our values and things on a person and want them to be that embodiment and be everything to us. But also they're being everything. And this could be a popular figure, for example, but they're trying to be everything to everybody that maybe is a supporter of theirs, and that's impossible. No one can live up to that. And if a person thinks that they can be everything for everybody, you can have different aspects that you like, but it's impossible to be everything. You're gonna have people who don't resonate with you. You're gonna who have those, like it's just bound to happen, and that's okay because there's someone else who you will resonate with. There's enough people around here to do all of the things so that everybody can enjoy. But I think that there is looking at that responsibility between those who are put maybe in this higher status or maybe put in this kind of claim to fame and maybe the common person, because we all are going through this human experience. We're all trying to figure this thing out, and there are certain things in the chart that show that prominence, that show these things that are meant to happen. And granted, there have been things that have where maybe the system hasn't been fair and things like that. That's not to say that that's not true. But I do believe that if you are able to dream and have these ideals, you can embody those dreams and ideals. If this person can't be the thing that you want them to be, then you fill in that space. This is an invitation for you to show the side of you that no one else can. They can emulate, but they can never copy. They can never actually be that thing. And yeah, there's just something of like really kind of looking at that, even the relationship between how now I think about with all the people who have videos now, it's a more common thing for someone to have a YouTube or to have this or to have this thing and to like to be able to talk about it like that, where it wasn't like that before. And so I think that there's even this thing of knowing that again that I'm a person, you're a person. Some days I'm feeling up and we're through the moon, and other times we're maybe in a different transit and kind of difficult. Mars might be doing something. I got beef with Mars, but Mars might be doing something, and you're just sort of like, man, I'm like at least I'm showing up, you know. But I do think that there is this just like a deeper connection to this sort of almost disillusionment that I think is happening in this Sabian symbol, as well as I think even something to think about, and this is kind of my last thought on this, realizing that the idea of fame and maybe things like that are going to be more common than we think it is now. It's going to be something where everyone can get that sort of recognition for this thing. Of course, it'll be varying degrees, obviously, but I think there's certain things that's just going to become more of the norm. And I think that that's something to think about and think about, well, what do I want to bring if I'm going to be recognized for something? What does that look like? When I go through a 10th house transit, I think the relationship, even with that, the 10th house, maybe could be something that could potentially change up for, I mean, it will for certain people, for sure, but just some things to I think to just and then, again that's why I like the saving symbols to just kind of shoot the breeze and see what kind of thoughts come up there. But let's go ahead. I think that's all I got for you there. So let's go ahead and switch over. And look at that, we're in the transforming age here. But last little thing here, these readings that I do, they're not gender specific readings. So apply these energies to people as it makes sense for the situations. And then I'm gonna ring this bell to bring in some solid vibrations here. Welcome in this new moon. So adjust your volume if you need to, but let's give this a ring and then let's get into it. All right. Get a little hydration here. And we're on. Let's do this thing. I'm with it. All right, so for your general energy of the day, you have the Two of Pentacles here. And that's a very interesting one. This is one of Saturn's cards here. This is Jupiter in Capricorn here. And that's where Jupiter finds his fall. And it's interesting since he's in his detriment right now. But I think that there's one thing when we're talking about the material. I think there's a question here of how we stay in the flow, how you keep the resources moving, how you make your, not just your money work for you, but your time work for you, how your body is working for you. How are things working? Like, do things feel imbalanced, or are there certain expectations I'm even getting that or maybe even too hard to juggle right now that are maybe needing to be spread out a little bit more here? Maybe they need to be tackled like maybe followed by the moon here. Maybe that's just something that's resonating because anyone can benefit from working with the moon. But there is this energy here. Like, this is the Two of Pentacles is the Lord of Change. Oh, that's my energy of the day. But there's a lot of pentacles going around today. But I do even think that that's interesting, thinking about the Lord of Change. I'm even getting a feeling of like changes in the body because the pentacles, the thing that's making the pentacles is this body, and it's the talents that you're bringing to the body, the skills that you're able to manifest. And there is talking about that exchange of what do you offer for your services, and even if that is something that you feel is weighed out, or is there a better way of maybe even distributing your time? That's very Aquarius, I think, to think about like, how can I make this the most efficient? What are some maybe innovative ways that I can think about outside of the box? Let's get some tarot on this. Let's get a card and see. Oh, and just an FYI with these two decks here. Not that it matters for this one now, but there are some extra cards. These are the decks that Spirit guided me to. But this one has two of cups and two empresses. That's really fantastic. And this one happens to, oh no, that's this deck. And then this one happens to have two fools in it. I think that's it for that one. But just so you're aware of that. But let's see what the first energy that's coming through here. Spirit. So you have the Seven of Wands here. And I think that's interesting that what's happening. I think that there's this need for, you're going through these changes, maybe you're making these adjustments, and there's going to be a need where there's going to be resistance to these changes, whether that be through other people, whether that be through, you might even be a challenge. You might even be where it's like, I want to, maybe for example, you want to start getting up earlier, you're setting these alarms, and then you're like, I'm on the 8th snooze, and then I end up getting at the normal time that I'm getting. So maybe there's some sort of like barrier here, or some sort of need to like defend a promise here, and really kind of questioning, like, and not in like a critical type of way of, but or just like wondering if what how much does something mean to you. I think with the 7, how much is it worth defending? How much is this change worth defending right now? Is this really a constructive way of going about my growth, or am I maybe taking on a bit more than I can chew here? That's interesting. Let's get a clarifier with that. Ooh, interesting. Thanks, Spirit. So you got the five of swords here. This is an interesting card. This one is a bit the Lord of Defeat here. I think that there's gonna feel a moment where maybe you're feeling not necessarily defeated, but feeling like it's you against the world, maybe, and that. And what I mean in that is like when you're focusing on something, you're trying to do this pattern, that doesn't mean that life stops for you. There's still going to be the things that are doing their things. And even though we all want to be on a certain trajectory, that's not everyone's agenda. And I think that there is this need to, that may be a challenge here, or maybe that's been a challenge here. This is sort of like a loose kind of past, present, future. We're just kind of 3-carding it and clarifying it and just going with the flow here. That's how we do it. But I do think that there may even be, I'm getting like an expectations versus reality type of energy, like wanting this, like things to go this kind of perfect dream, but it's just like, it may be kind of like rocky maybe at first. So it's like there's even just like, we're in the seeding process right now. This is just some ideas. Let maybe some things kind of permeate a little bit, give it some time, maybe around like the sextile energy. Once we get to like the moon in Aries, that'll be where we're starting to maybe do a little cooking there. We're starting to feel a little heat, feeling inspired. But let's get another card on this. Nice, we got a little heat. We got a lot of heat. Thanks, Spirit. Look at this macho man. You got the King of Wands here. Fiery part of fire. That's some heat. And that's where I think what this King of Wands is bringing up is, I think there's going to be a need for, it's going to require some discipline, I think, this moving forward, this adjustment. But I think that there's something here. The King of Wands is very creative. He can make things happen quickly. And I think that there's something here about being able to maybe even change a circumstance quicker than you think, but it is going to require that will to do this thing, because again, the King of Wands is just all fire. He's all fire all day. And there is a need to figure out how to temper that balance and to temper the changes that you're going through here too. There's a pacing thing that I'm picking up in here as well. It kind of reminds me of when you start working out. You just don't go, if you've never lifted before, you just don't go lifting 100 pounds. It's not practical. You might end up hurting yourself, but maybe you can build up to that. I'm even getting a message of like maybe even pushing, not too, it's like getting adjusted to a discomfort. This could be maybe hitting like a plateau and a need to kind of push a boundary a little bit. Like, and even just go back to the workout reference where if you normally do a certain weight, up it like maybe like 2.5 pounds, 5 pounds, and just see the difference in that, and just getting used to the discomfort, used to have to slowing down a little bit, but know that there's some strength that's building up. It may not be as confident as it was when you were starting out, but that's just another thing that's coming through there. But let's get a clarifier on that. Nice. Thanks, Spirit. So you got the Four of Pentacles here. And I'm partway getting with this a message of using just like this energy, using this thing sparingly, like not being necessarily frugal with it, but there's going to be times when there's going to be when there's going to be time to move, and there's going to be a time to where you need to kind of back the reins off a little bit. Like it's just like as this thing is starting to integrate, kind of start off kind of small and let it build up, as opposed to expending it all at once. It would be like starting a race off sprinting, and you sprinted and you're far ahead and you're ahead of everybody, like maybe by like a half a mile, but you still got like 5 miles to go and now you're exhausted. So that's just something that's kind of coming through there. But another thing I think on this end is like tapping into a reserve. There's some kind of movement, there's some kind of change that's going on, and maybe the Seven of Wands in this past here, something has maybe been bringing the energy down. That's either been, it's gonna be like a coworker, this could be like a partner, maybe a family member, or even again it could maybe just even be like that inner critic. Something here that's maybe just like trying to just slow the progress down, but it's not. And what I think sometimes can happen with the King of Wands, and when you have really a lot of fire, something that can happen when that doesn't have a place to move, it gets misdirected, and then it gets channeled into like aggression, because the fire's frustrated because it's not able to breathe, something stifling it. And so that might be something to kind of pay attention to. And this is not you, maybe this is someone around you, maybe like is maybe needing some sort of inspiration, kind of like a kick in the pants. Maybe even possibly that's kind of coming through there. Let's get another one on this. Ooh, there's the money maker. You got the High Priestess. Here's the moon coming out to play. Can't see her yet. And there's something to that. There's. I think there's almost like a sensation with the High Priestess that's coming through, that something is needing to maybe change, or that change is on the wind. And it's one of those things that you could ignore it, but it's something that is in your awareness though. And I think like that there's this opportunity to, I find with the High Priestess, it's really a great day, like a great time, I'd say, of this period, just to get quiet. The new moon is a very quiet time, and just receive. Just receive and see what messages come up for you. I'll tell you what, one way that I got led to a video. I was just watching something about owls, and I was thinking about how I grew up with my stepdad does taxidermy, and he found these owls, and it made me I looked into a video about owls and learned some very fascinating things, and then it just led down a whole thing. And I just find with her, when you listen to the guidance and follow the high priestess will lay a road out for you. She'll like you're in tune in a way that is you're tuned to the earthly. Yeah, I'm just thinking about how the moon's exalted in Taurus, and how she's just at one with the cycle of things. Then she understands the nature of cycles, and there's a cycle that's happening here, an opportunity where this is a chance to get some things moving. Let's get a clarifier with the high priestess. And to be beautiful, she's bringing sunshine. Look at and how interesting. You got the sun card here. So the sun, let's take this moment in. The sun and the moon are conjunct one another right now. This is I think just like verification. This is that feeling that the obstacles are out of the way. I think for whatever this looks like for you, it can be whatever is needed for that period of time. But the sun is your happiness here. This is that guiding light. This is working towards that higher vibration, that where everything just comes together. And the moon is helping you see that. The moon literally is reflecting the sun's light and trying to guide you through this material realm, through the fluctuations of it. And I think with this Two of Pentacles here, that Jupiter and Capricorn, that energy, that abundance sometimes takes some time for it to grow. But man, when it grows, it's going to be something, it's going to be out of this world. But it is something that it needs some nurturing. It may need some time here. That's brilliant. Let's get some advice from Saturn. That was really cool, Spirit. Thank you. All right, so you got the Queen of Swords here. And I think that, the Queen of Swords, this is cool. This is calm. This is collected. It's a watery part of air. The Queen of Swords has this level of clarity that she understands that she has something that she needs to leave behind, and that there are going to be some things along the way that she's going to have to cut out to maybe complete that legacy. Some things, some situations, some people, that there's sacrifices that are going to have to be made. And again, she's one that's like, it's at peace with that, making the choice, making sometimes the hard choice. To have to, when you're in this state of needing to do this discipline, when you're doing that kind of great work, there are times where it requires maybe a bit of alone time sometimes, is what I'm getting with this. But she sees the bigger picture. But I am getting a message with her about not necessarily cutting people off, because it takes me back to, I'm thinking about the Rider-Waite image of the Five of Swords, and how there's this one person you have these two people that are just kind of drooped over, walking away, kind of disappointed. And the Queen of Swords, she can come in not necessarily hot, but she'll throw some shade sometimes, but that's not even what I'm getting. It's more so like she can be harsh maybe sometimes when that's not the intention. There's something like something a little deeper than emotions that's going on there. Like she's coming from a very rational place. Let me get a clarifier with that one. Because this might even be just like a conversation that's needing to be had here, but hey, thanks, Spirit. So you have the Three of Cups here, and let's switch back over. I think there's going to be something here, like maybe for some there's going to be a change in the things that get, because this is a Lord of Abundance, and I think that the things that get in the way of your abundance, maybe that's something that we're cutting out. Maybe that's what I'm feeling with this Queen of Swords here, that maybe there may be a time where you're making these changes and you might feel ostracized. Like in this, maybe not, maybe it's a group that's actively doing it, but maybe this was just like a more sort of like a self decision, like I needed to remove myself for a minute to not dip into a certain vibration or just situation, relationship, whatever. And yeah, now we're just like hanging out with a different crowd. I find that when those holes are made, those vacuums are made, they get filled with something fresh. So that's something that's coming through here as well. Something I think to think about there, but that's all I got for you. A little something to meditate on, but if you like that, if anything resonated with you, give it a thumbs up. And share this if you know somebody who would get some nuggets of wisdom from this. And subscribe there, you high priestess. That was really cool. Hit that bell button to get notified on all these videos each day. And then I'm going to shuffle for your surprise cards here. But if you want to know what is going on with the other celestial bodies, down in the description box, most a link from my other channel, Alchemist State, thanks Spirit. And on there, I talk about the weekly transits. I release videos every Mercury day. And I also do videos talking about different planets in different signs and different placement or different houses. So if that's a planet that you have, leave a comment. Talk about how you've been working with these energies. And after having that live with Jamie, I actually have an idea. I'm going to get something where I can start doing some chart reading, so stay tuned for that. So I'll get to that in a moment. But let's get to your surprise card here. I think you got this one when the moon was in Scorpio, but you got the card of a different deck. But you got the card of forgiveness here. And that's just interesting considering we were talking about the maybe cutting off of people. And, you know, maybe there's this need. There's something about guilt maybe in there that might need to be let go. You know, a choice maybe a tough choice is needed to be made here. And it's even popping in my head, that quote, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. And that's not to say we're not doing anything like shady, but it's more so just like, I've done that where it's for the greater good ultimately. And you just, most of the time it's never anything serious. Like I don't have a specific example, but I think I've done something like that quote. And it's something that you end up being thankful for later. You know, like in the immediate, yeah, like you get it. But you know, that's just sort of the energy that I'm getting from this as well, if that resonates with anybody. But I think that's all I got for you. A little something to think about. Don't be too hard on yourself. Maybe with these changes too. That might be something coming through there. Off to a new start here with that sun and that high priestess and that sun. I love that. I love that. So until next time, stay mindful out there. Keep eyes on that moon. Well, when she decides to reveal herself, she's still hiding behind the sun. And I will catch you on the next one. Oh, I didn't put it down. I'll catch you on the next one later. I didn't put the date down.